Every morning you wake up, you have two choices: to continue living the same day over and over again, or to rewrite your story with intention, with clarity, with the fierce commitment of someone who knows they are meant for more. Success is not reserved for the lucky or the chosen. It is magnetized by the relentless. It is drawn to those who prepare for it long before it arrives. The world does not hand out rewards to the wishful. It yields to the ones who embody the habits of victory long before the world claps for them. Winning habits are not glamorous. They are not loud. They are not announced. They are silent, consistent, and often invisible to others. But make no mistake, they are powerful. They are magnetic. They are the gravitational pull behind every so-called overnight success. It begins with how you command your time. Not manage, command. Winners do not let their days drift. They structure them. They protect them. They understand that time is not just money. It is life. Every hour wasted is an hour stolen from the future they could have built. They don't wait until they feel like it. They don't ask for permission from motivation. They build rituals that run deeper than moods. Discipline for them is not restriction. It's freedom. It's the act of choosing the life they want over and over again, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one is watching. The world will always try to interrupt you, distract you, invite you into mediocrity. Winning habits come from saying no more than yes. No to short-term pleasure, no to emotional reactions, no to anything that doesn't serve the mission. Winners invest more in their inner world than their outer image. They spend more time strengthening their mindset than curating their appearance. Why? Because success is a battle of endurance, and the battlefield is within. The mind, left untrained, becomes the loudest critic, the biggest enemy, the greatest obstacle. But when it's trained, when it's sharpened daily through reflection, solitude, learning, and challenge, it becomes the most powerful weapon you own. Winning habits involve mental hygiene. They read not just to know more, but to think better. They write not to be creative, but to be clear. They reflect not to feel good, but to be precise. Because they understand, confusion leads to hesitation, and hesitation kills progress. Another habit of the successful is radical ownership. No blaming, no pointing fingers, no waiting for the economy, for the weather, for someone to give them a green light. They take responsibility for every result, good or bad. They ask, what could I have done better? Not, why did this happen to me? That shift changes everything, because when you take ownership, you take back your power. You stop being a victim of life, and you start becoming the architect of it. And in that frame of mind, solutions become clearer. Action becomes automatic. Growth becomes inevitable. Winners are consistent, not when it's convenient, not when they're inspired, but always. While others look for motivation, they build momentum. While others wait for the right conditions, they create progress in the middle of chaos. The successful don't rely on perfect days. They execute on hard ones, because they understand that consistency beats intensity every time. A small, repeated effort done with purpose and precision will always outperform bursts of energy without direction. This habit of daily, deliberate action, no matter how small, is what turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces. There is also a spiritual layer to all this, whether you name it or not. Winners align with purpose. They do not chase random goals for applause. They are grounded in something deeper. They ask themselves, who am I becoming? What legacy am I building? What will this all mean when it's done? This clarity of intention turns every habit into something sacred. Waking up early becomes an act of devotion, not deprivation. Working on their craft becomes a form of worship, not obligation. They know the power of energy, of focus, of inner alignment, and they protect it. They don't surround themselves with noise, gossip, or people who dim their vision. They guard their circle. They seek out mentors. They absorb wisdom because they know the environment you allow is the future you accept. Another quiet but deadly habit that pulls success toward you is patience. Not passive waiting, active patience. The kind that keeps moving forward even when the rewards haven't shown up yet. It's easy to grind for a week. It's hard to build for years without recognition. But winners play the long game. They understand that success doesn't bend to impatience. The habits they build are meant to sustain them through the seasons, through droughts, storms, setbacks, and silence, because they know if you plant the right seeds and water them daily, the harvest will come. Maybe not on your timeline, but on time. Winners are obsessed, not with applause, but with improvement. They are always learning, always evolving, always iterating. They are students of the process. They don't just practice, they analyze. They don't just work, they refine. This hunger for growth makes them magnetic, because people can feel when someone is truly becoming more skilled, more valuable, more grounded, and the world moves toward those who move forward. It's not luck, it's not destiny, it's momentum born of relentless, quiet, focused effort. They also don't outsource their energy. They know how to generate it, physically, mentally, spiritually. They move their bodies, they eat with intention, they sleep with respect, because they know energy is the fuel for action, and action is the pathway to results. You cannot afford to be sluggish when the world is moving fast. You cannot afford to be foggy when opportunity knocks. Winning habits are about sharpening yourself daily so that when the moment comes, you don't need to get ready. You already are. And above all else, they believe, not just in themselves, but in the vision they carry. That unshakable belief is a habit, a decision repeated over and over again, especially when there's no evidence yet. They hold the vision in their minds so clearly that reality has no choice but to catch up. They talk to themselves with power. They rehearse success in their minds like athletes visualizing victory. They are not naive. They are prepared. They are rehearsing the inevitable, not because they are guaranteed to win, but because they are prepared to earn it. Success doesn't come to the loud, the flashy, or the desperate. It comes to the consistent, the focused, the quietly relentless, the ones who live their days in alignment with where they're going, not where they've been, the ones who choose their habits like weapons, who know that how they do one thing is how they do everything, the ones who understand that winning is not an act, it's a lifestyle, built moment by moment, choice by choice, day by day. And when you build those habits, when you live them, breathe them, become them, you don't chase success, you attract it. You see, most people wait until life forces them to change, until the pain becomes unbearable, until the bills pile up, until the mirror reflects someone they no longer recognize. But the ones who win, truly win, don't wait for crisis. They evolve by choice, not by catastrophe. They upgrade their habits because they've seen the cost of staying the same, and they refuse to pay that price. Every small habit, every quiet decision, every unnoticed hour, they know these are not small. They are the architecture of a future no one else sees yet. That's what makes them magnetic. They are not just working harder, they are working truer. They are not just trying to succeed. They are becoming the kind of person who can't help but succeed. That's a very different game. The world is full of talent, but it bows to consistency. It's full of ambition, but it follows clarity. People are drawn to those who are moving with purpose. Think about it. When you meet someone with discipline in their eyes, order in their speech, peace in their energy, you feel it, you trust it, you respect it. That's not something you can fake. That's the product of years of invisible, deliberate habits. There is nothing more attractive than someone who lives in alignment with their word, not just talking success, living it, training like it, thinking like it, choosing like it. And what that creates is gravity. People want to be near that kind of energy. Opportunities want to land in those kinds of hands. Doors open not because of luck, but because they were unlocked long ago by quiet, steady preparation. Another undeniable habit of winners is emotional control. They do not let temporary emotions cause permanent damage. They don't explode in anger, quit in doubt, or speak from insecurity. They master themselves before trying to master the world. When things go wrong, they step back, breathe, and respond, not react. That calm, that centeredness is not weakness, it's lethal. Because in chaos, the calm become leaders. In storms, the composed make the decisions. Success is not just about intelligence or work ethic. It's about how you carry yourself when everything is on the line. Winners make a habit of returning to their center again and again, no matter what chaos surrounds them. And they also practice invisibility. They don't need to announce every goal, every move, every plan. They protect their energy by keeping it sacred. Their results speak louder than their updates. While others post, they build. While others seek applause, they sharpen in silence. They are not antisocial, they are intentional. They understand the power of quiet progress. They don't move for likes, they move for legacy. They don't need validation because their identity isn't built on noise, it's rooted in reality. And that makes them untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable. There is also a humility in the way winners operate. Arrogance is loud and fragile. Real confidence is quiet and strong. The truly successful never act like they've arrived. They always assume there's another level to reach. They learn from everyone. They ask questions. They study their own mistakes with the same curiosity they use to study the greats. Their habit is not perfection, it's correction. They don't take failure personally. They treat it as feedback. They extract the lesson and keep moving. That resilience, built through honest reflection and relentless growth, is magnetic, because you can't break someone who's already made a habit of rebuilding. Winners also create more than they consume. They are producers in a world full of spectators. While others scroll, they write. While others binge, they build. While others wait to be entertained, they work to inspire. This shift from consumer to creator changes everything. It puts you in motion. It develops your skills. It builds your confidence. The habit of creation rewires your brain from passivity to power. You stop watching the world and start shaping it. And when you live like that, when you build every day, even in small ways, you start to stand out. Not because you're loud, but because you're rare. Another winning habit is precision. The best don't just work hard, they work smart. They don't waste effort. They study patterns, they refine their systems, they track what matters. They know what to say yes to and what to eliminate. Their days are not random, they are strategic. Their energy is not scattered, it's focused. They are not just busy, they are effective. And over time, that precision compounds. While others burn out chasing everything, they rise slowly, deliberately, with unstoppable force. And through all of this, the deepest habit they hold is integrity. Doing what they said they'd do, showing up after the hype has faded, keeping promises to themselves. That's the real glue that holds a winning life together. Self-trust. Because when you trust yourself, when you've built the habit of following through, when you know you don't need to be watched or rewarded to do what's right, you become powerful. Quietly, unshakably powerful. You don't second guess. You don't look for shortcuts. You just keep showing up day after day, because that's who you are now. You've become the person your future depends on. And that's the habit that changes everything. Success isn't an event, it's a result. A byproduct of hundreds of winning habits practiced in private. So if you want to change your life, don't chase success. Don't beg for it. Don't wait for a miracle. Build the habits that attract it. Build the mind that's ready for it. Build the life that's already aligned with it. And when you do that, you'll look up one day and realize you didn't just get lucky, you got ready. And the world, like a mirror, simply gave you back what you consistently became. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Success doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't knock on your door with a grand entrance. It sneaks in through the back door of your routines. It shows up quietly through repetition, through habits so embedded into your identity that you don't even notice the transformation anymore. You simply become the person who wins, not because of one big moment, but because you no longer know how to live any other way. Winning becomes your default, not because it's easy, but because you've trained for it, you've suffered for it, you've stayed when it would have been easier to quit, and that resilience has carved a new version of you out of the old. The old version, the one that hit snooze, that needed approval, that waited for the right moment, that version had to die. Winners kill off every version of themselves that gets in the way. It's not just about building new habits. It's about letting go of the ones that keep you small. The habits of procrastination, of comparison, of distraction. The conversations that lead nowhere. The relationships that drain your purpose. The content that numbs your brain. One by one, they let it go, not because they're trying to be perfect, but because they're aiming to be powerful. And they know power leaks through anything misaligned, so they clean house daily, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They declutter their life like it's sacred, because it is. The most magnetic people you'll ever meet are not always the loudest in the room. They are the ones who carry peace, direction, certainty. They don't need to prove. They don't need to chase. They've done the inner work. And now everything they want comes to them, not because they're lucky, but because they've aligned their life so perfectly that success has no reason not to land there. They've become the landing strip for greatness, and people feel it. That's what we mean when we say attract success. It's not mystical, it's structural, it's behavioral, it's habitual. When you live in congruence with the results you want, the gap closes between effort and outcome. You stop pushing, you start receiving. But here's the catch. It's boring. Yes, real winning habits are boring. Repetition is boring. Mastery is boring. Getting up at the same time, doing the same deep work, keeping the same commitments, saying no over and over again to the things you want now for the things you want most, that's not sexy. That's not trending. But it's what separates the elite from the average. Because while everyone else is looking for hacks and shortcuts, winners are out there doing the reps in silence, without applause, without recognition. And that's what makes them unstoppable, because their motivation isn't external, it's internal. It's built into who they are. Their habits aren't just tools, they are identities. They don't do discipline, they are disciplined. They don't try to be consistent, they are consistency. The world doesn't rise for people who want to be great. It rises for those who are willing to become great in the dark. And that process of building brick by brick, when no one sees you, when no one believes in you, when you've failed 100 times and still show up on day one again, that's the furnace where real success is forged. That's where the winning habits become permanent. And once they do, success is no longer something you chase, it's something you carry. The people who build lives others admire are not driven by ego. They are driven by alignment. They know what they value. They know what matters, and they build habits that reflect that truth every single day. They know that one great decision doesn't change your life, but 1,000 small ones repeated consistently will. And those small habits, waking up early, moving your body, protecting your focus, guarding your energy, keeping your word, learning daily, choosing progress over comfort, those are the seeds. The harvest is inevitable. And when the rewards finally come, they are not surprised. They are not overwhelmed, they are ready. Because they didn't wish for this moment, they trained for it. Their habits made space for it. Their character built the foundation for it. And they carry it with humility because they know the same habits that brought them here are the ones that will keep them here. And so they don't stop. They don't relax into comfort. They don't abandon the process just because the world starts clapping. They double down, they sharpen, they continue. Because to them, success was never the goal. Growth was, integrity was, mastery was, and those things never end. And so they live differently. They walk through the world with a quiet fire. Not the kind that screams, but the kind that burns steady, day in, day out. That kind of fire doesn't flicker when things go wrong. It doesn't depend on mood swings or motivation. It's not tied to external conditions. It's forged by habits, rituals of commitment, of clarity, of inner discipline. The people who attract success carry themselves like it's already done. Not because they're arrogant, but because they've rehearsed it so many times in the shadows that they know the light is coming. They don't need to hope. They know. Because every day they have proof. Not from outside, but from within. Proof in their effort, proof in their habits, proof in their ability to show up regardless of how they feel. You can see the difference in the way they sit with discomfort. Most people run from it, numb it, avoid it. But winners sit in it. They lean into it. They understand that discomfort is a signal, not to stop, but to grow. Their habit is not to seek ease, but to seek expansion, to look pain in the eye and say, this is where the upgrade begins. While others ask, how do I escape this? They ask, what is this shaping me into? That mental habit of interpreting challenge as transformation, that alone separates them from 90% of the world. Because while most people are fighting battles with no strategy, winners are being sharpened by every single one. They also know how to be alone. That's one of the rarest winning habits in today's world, solitude. They don't fear silence, they crave it, because they've discovered something most people never will. Clarity is born in stillness. Ideas grow in quiet. Direction is found when the noise fades. They take walks without headphones, they journal, they sit, they think, they let their mind stretch beyond the algorithm. That habit of creating space allows them to live lives that are intentional, not reactive. They're not just busy, they're deliberate. And that deliberateness radiates. It gives them a sense of calm direction that people notice, even if they don't understand it. That's how you attract success, by cultivating energy so clear, so strong, that it naturally pulls everything aligned with it toward you. And here's something else most people overlook. Winners take care of the small. They know that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. They respect their environment. They clean their space. They manage their finances. They follow through on tiny promises. Why? Because every small act of order sharpens their mind. Every small act of excellence echoes into bigger ones. When you train yourself to care about details, you're preparing yourself to manage greatness. You can't expect to run an empire if you can't keep your desk clean. That habit of excellence, it's a muscle. And like any muscle, it's built through small reps, daily, repeated, without applause. That's how the habit of greatness forms, not in one big breakthrough, but in 100 small, deliberate acts of intention. And they know how to rest. Real winners do not glorify burnout. They don't chase exhaustion like a badge of honor. They rest strategically. They recover like champions because they understand recovery is part of the process. Without it, consistency dies. Without it, focus fades. They don't rest because they're lazy. They rest so they can continue to perform at the highest level. It's not escapism, it's fuel. They plan their recovery with as much intensity as they plan their work. That balance, that sustainable rhythm is a habit, and it's one of the most powerful ones, because longevity is the ultimate flex. Anyone can grind for a week. Few can sustain greatness for decades. But those who can, they're the ones who know when to sprint and when to breathe. They also rewire their language. The way they speak to themselves is different. No more "I can't." No more "maybe one day." Their self-talk is intentional, purposeful. They speak in declarations, not doubts, in directions, not detours. They say, "I'm building," not "I'm trying." They say, "This is who I am," not "I hope it works out," because they understand. The words you say to yourself are not just descriptions, they are blueprints. They become instructions for your brain and eventually for your life. So they make a habit of speaking like someone who wins, because language repeated daily becomes belief, and belief aligned with action becomes destiny. The real secret of winning habits is that they are not temporary fixes. They are permanent foundations. They are not a strategy you use when you feel behind. They are who you are, regardless of how things are going. You don't turn them on and off based on your mood. You live them, you embody them. They are stitched into your identity so deeply that even when the world tries to pull you off course, you return to center. Every time. That's the difference between a phase and a life path, between motivation and transformation. So if you want to attract success, don't just change your habits. Let your habits change you. Let them sculpt your identity. Let them separate you from who you used to be. Let them take you so far beyond your old limits that you can't even remember what it felt like to live small. And one day, without warning, success will arrive. Not with noise, but with recognition. It will recognize you. It will find a match in the version of you that your habits have been building all along. You won't have to chase it, because by then, you'll already be living the kind of life it wants to be part of. And when success finds you, it won't feel like a surprise. It'll feel like confirmation. Not because you got lucky, but because deep down you knew. This is what I've been building for. This is what all the early mornings, all the lonely nights, all the disciplined choices were for. Not to impress anyone, not to prove a point, but to become undeniable. To become the kind of person who doesn't get success, but sustains it, protects it, multiplies it, because that's what real winners do. They don't just win once. They build lives where winning is a consequence, not an exception, where success becomes a byproduct of identity, not a result of luck. And identity, at its core, is shaped by repetition. You become what you repeat, not what you dream about, not what you post about, not what you hope for, but what you consistently practice, day after day. That's why the habits matter more than the goals. Goals are outcomes. Habits are the roots. And no tree grows fruit without deep roots. The flashiest people with the biggest goals often fall the hardest because they never built roots. They chase the spotlight without earning the structure. But winners, they go underground first. They dig deep before they rise high. They focus on character before reputation, on habits before hype. One of the greatest habits they build is self-auditing, not in a way that creates shame, but in a way that creates mastery. They constantly ask themselves, where am I slipping? Where am I lying to myself? What patterns keep repeating that don't serve me? They do this not to be harsh, but to stay aligned, to stay honest, because self-deception is the greatest enemy of success. You cannot grow beyond what you refuse to confront. Winners confront everything. They bring it into the light. And that habit of radical self-honesty allows them to evolve faster than anyone else. While others protect their ego, they protect their future. And that's the trade. That's the difference. That's what separates the magnetic from the mediocre. They also make a habit of outgrowing their environment, not disrespecting it, not rejecting it, but outgrowing it. If the people around them aren't evolving, they still evolve. If the standards around them are low, they raise their own. If the conversations are draining, they seek deeper ones. They don't wait for others to catch up. They move forward. And in doing so, they naturally attract a new circle, a new level, a new reality. Because when your habits reflect where you're going instead of where you are, the world will reorganize around you. It can't help but do so. Life bends in the direction of your standard every time. And here's something even more powerful. They make peace with being misunderstood. That's a habit too, because the more intentional you become, the more unpredictable you seem to those living without direction. The more focused you are, the more others will call you obsessed. The more disciplined you become, the more your old life will try to guilt you into staying small. Winners know this, and they don't fight it. They accept it. They don't argue. They just keep moving. That habit of choosing your future over your feelings is one of the most magnetic things a human being can carry. It sends a message to the world. I will not be defined by anything smaller than the vision I hold. And so, quietly, they keep showing up. They don't always feel ready. They don't always feel inspired, but they've trained themselves to move anyway. That's what winning really is. It's not about feeling unstoppable. It's about showing up even when you feel broken. It's about brushing off the dust and walking back into the fight. It's about doing the work even when no one claps, when no one watches, when no one believes. Because you do. Because you remember why you started. Because your habits won't let you go back to the old life. Because your mind has been rewired to see the long game and nothing short-term can tempt you anymore. You live with vision now. You carry purpose now. And the habits you built, those invisible, relentless rituals, are the armor you wear, the strategy you walk with, the energy you radiate. You've trained yourself not just to want more, but to be more. And that kind of transformation, that kind of internal evolution, that's what the world notices. That's what draws the opportunities. That's what opens the doors. That's what turns effort into excellence, struggle into stature, discipline into destiny. You don't chase success anymore. You embody it,